everyone, welcome to another project analysis series. Today we are going to talk about Bloomsbury residences. I'm so late into uploading this video. It's because for the past 2 months, my team and we are actually in the midst of shifting our studio. And guess what? After I finished doing up this Bloomsbury analysis video, the interim studio which I usually go to is also fully booked, which means I wasn't able to churn out this video on time for y'all. But rest assured, today's video is still going to be very relevant as I will be using today's analysis based on the remaining 73% of the remaining units as per today's filming. In this video, apart from the project overview, which I will usually go through, one of the key things we want to cover is I also want to share with you what are my exact thoughts and also what I don't prefer about these projects, as well as what is my top choice units based on the remaining inventory, mainly which has better ROI and rental. And this analysis video is going to be especially important for you if you are an investor who is very particular about numbers. Okay, so before I actually run through all these important points, do remember to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't, because it will mean the world to me in helping me build up my channel. Also, don't forget to join me in my Telegram channel, because being in my community will mean that you'll be getting first dibs of time-sensitive information. A good example is I've been sending out some developer bounce out units as well as sometimes some good deals in the market. Just some basic info about Bloomsbury residences. It is located in the One North cluster. So currently the One North cluster is segregated into 2 different clusters, which is the North and then the South. The North cluster, you will mainly find older projects such as One North Residences. I think they TOP in about 2007. Then there's One North Eden, and also current launches which are still selling right now, which is The Hill at One North and Blossoms by the Park. Now, where we are, which is Bloomsbury Residences, we are actually located in the South cluster. And it is the first project for this new cluster. There should be about 4 to 5 more land plots coming up after this, which means this is an entirely new township. So it is estimated to TOP in about 2029 with 358 units. This development is what we call a mixed development, which means there is residential with about 400 square meters of commercial space below. For some of you wondering, right, so just for perspective, if each shop is about 50 to 80 square meters, that will make up to about 5 to 8 shops. 50 square meters is essentially about 500 square feet. Let's say if it's 500 to 800 square feet per shop, it will be 5 to 8 shops lah. So it's not exactly a very big shopping mall below on the first level. If you want a clearer perspective, think Stars of Coven. And in the Siglap area, we have maybe Siglap V, for example. Another thing to take note is even though there are about 358 units here, but there are only 143 car park lots, which works out to be about 39% of the unit mix. This will mean that there is no one-to-one parking lots, which I feel might be a concern given it's not very near to the MRT. But however, the developers should be offering a 1-year shuttle bus service to the MRT, and it is offered for the first year lah. Why do I say it's going to be a little bit of a concern is because if you look at the unit mix, right, it actually ranges from 2 all the way to 6 bedroom penthouse. If let's say one unit is required to have 1 car park lot, I take out the 2 bedrooms for example, I still have about 160 plus units that need the car park lots, right, from 3 bedrooms all the way up to 6 bedrooms. So that will mean that anybody who is staying here, they have 2 cars, they need 2 car park lots. Maybe it is not very possible lah. Without further ado, let's look at the 2 bedroom analysis. So as for the 2 bedrooms, it comes in 4 main configurations. The first one is the 2 bed 1 bath. Then for the 2 bed 2 bath, there's 2 different layouts, and also the last one is 2 plus study. Let us look at the 2-bed 1-bath first. So the 2-bed 1-bath is located on stack 3 and stack 4. Stack 3 and stack 4, meaning it is actually facing towards the Media Circle Road. This is a 570 square feet unit and comes with a linear kitchen. Next, we also want to look at the 2-bed 2-bath. 2-bed 2-bath is a nicer layout for the dumbbell layout. Why? Because it comes with a tucked-in kitchen. And then as for the traditional layout, all the bedrooms are actually tucked on one side, living room on one side. This is actually an open kitchen. Alright, so as you can see, these 2 bedrooms actually faces the Media Circle area. If you were to ask me based on my preference, I would prefer the 646 layout. Why? Because first, it's 646, it's smaller in size. Second, it has a better looking kitchen lah. Alright, so let us move on to the last layout, which is the 2 plus study, 689 square feet. As compared to the other 2-bedroom units, there is an additional study over here. When I look at the price, I was honestly a bit surprised because the 2 plus study currently, based on the available units, it starts from 1.694 million, which is about 2,450 per square foot. Why am I a bit surprised? Because it is actually almost the same PSF as the 2-bed 2-bath and 2-bed 1-bath, which means that today, even though you are getting a 2 plus study facing the pool area, which rightfully should cost more, but it isn't. So when I was doing this analysis before the price release, I worked out a rough gauge in terms of the prices. If I multiply based on 689 multiply by 2006, right? Rightfully so lah, because the 2-bed 2-bath is facing here ma. Then the nicer units, which is the 2 plus study, is facing towards the pool. So I felt a developer most likely would want to price the more premium facing more expensive because there are only 345 units to sell. So I was guessing that maybe the premium facing will be priced much higher, which is about 2,600 per square feet. I was roughly agak-agak gauging lah. So if I base on 689, which is the 2 plus study size, multiply by 2,006 per square foot, it works out to be about 1.79 million. Just now, remember there was this 646 square feet unit, the 2-bed 2-bath. If I base it on 2,450 per square foot, that is 1.582 million. It means that from the smallest 2-bed 2-bath to the 2 plus study, there is easily a price gap of $200,000. But when I saw the actual price, actually it is not so leh. So over here, I use the traditional 2-bed 2-bath as example. I use it in this case based on level to level. The premium to top up for an additional study over here, right, is only about $80,000. So $80,000, you get a much better facing, which is facing the pool, and then you also get an additional study which can act up as another storage, or you can extend out your dining area so that it is not so tight in terms of space. If I base on $80,000 additional in terms of purchase price, which means your down payment would be only about $20,000 more. So I feel that if I am looking for a 2-bed 2-bath for own stay, right, my preference would be to top up the additional more so that, you know, I get a more comfortable space, I get a bigger space for own stay. But with that being said, is this my top pick for investment or not? Which is why I look deeper into the numbers lah, to research between the 2 bedrooms, which one will actually give me more ROI. With this, I did a quick search and my nearest project comparable was actually Normanton Park. I feel that it is a good example. Why? Because it is also not so near to MRT, and although it is a big project, but it is still something that is comparable within the 1 km radius. This is the site plan for Normanton Park, mainly those in blue color. I help you to label over here already. I took very similar facing of the 2-bed 1-bath, which is on stack 31, as well as stack 39, which is here. For reference, right, the transactions are based on the same floor. They have very similar facings. You can see over here. And also their transaction date is very similar. As you can see from the purchase date for the 2-bed 1-bath was in February 2021. For 2-bed 2-bath was January 2021. Then when they sell, the difference is only about half a month in terms of the gap lah. This is as close as possible of a transaction that I can find for you to have clarity on which unit is actually better. Based on the data here, you can see that for the 2-bed 1-bath, the profit was actually $180,000, whereas for 2-bed 2-bath, the profit is $258,000. Then some of you will be saying, of course lah, rightfully so, right? Because purchase price for 2-bed 2-bath is much higher ma. But when I calculate it based on the ROI, right? Based on 2-bed 2-bath, their ROI is still much higher at 78%, so almost 18% higher. Next is also a very similar case study. I took another 2 different units. One is 2-bed 1-bath, 2-bed 2-bath. One is on 21st floor, the other on 22nd floor. So same facing as well. You can see the same thing that happens, and that is the ROI for the 2-bed 2-bath is much higher than the 2-bed 1-bath. Based on these 2 examples, you can see that the 2-bed 2-bath actually outperforms the 2-bed 1-bath in terms of profits. But is this enough to actually gauge? Actually not ma. So next, we also want to look at the rental yield. For Normanton Park, I have 3 different units of each unit type to give us a better comparison. And these transactions are all taken in about March to about late February, so a 1-month difference. The difference between the 2-bed 1-bath versus the 2-bath is about $300 based on the average transactions of rent. So applying back to Bloomsbury using the same estimated rental against the purchase price as of today's filming, you can see that the bigger the unit size, the lower the rental yield, especially for the bigger 2-bedroom, which is the type B3. So just to recap a bit, the 2-bed 2-bath 678 square feet unit, it actually is the traditional layout, meaning which the bedrooms are all tucked into one side, whereas this 646 layout is the dumbbell layout. With that being said, based on this quantum, right, you can see that for the 2-bed 1-bath, if I were to use the same rental yield based on today's Bloomsbury's lowest purchase price of $1.396 million, the rental yield is about 3.4%. Next one would be the 2-bed 2-bath. Assume the 2-bed 2-bath dumbbell layout is about $1.572 million. The rental yield is about 3.3%. And if I were to base the rental yield on a traditional floor plan based on today's pricing, which is $1.633 million, the rental yield is 3.17%. If I were to compare between the 2-bed 1-bath versus the 2-bed 2-bath, just based on the smallest 2-bedroom, for example, the rental yield is actually pretty similar. Whereas if you go up to the bigger layout, due to its much bigger size, then it affects the purchase price, which also make the rental yield much lower. By the way, if you're wondering why I did not use One North Eden as reference, is because there is no 2-bed 1-bath to compare. So there is no apple to apple comparison lah. Based on Normanton Park, I base it on $4,000, but do you know that for One North Eden, it has a much higher rental as compared to Normanton Park, with the 2-bed 2-bath actually ranging from $5,000 all the way to $5,500, which means the rental is about $1,000 to $1,300 higher lah than what I've quoted here. So in this sense, I might be underquoting you guys in terms of the rental, and this rental you can potentially be much higher than 3%. But I think it's a good thing, because why? We are being very conservative in terms of numbers, which I feel is very essential, especially if you are looking for investment. Anyway, in summary, the 2-bed 2-bath tends to outperform the 2-bed 1-bath in terms of profits in this area. But if you want a higher rental and profits, then based on the statistics that I have shown you, try to focus on the 2-bed 2-bath, but focus on the dumbbell layout, because the overall quantum is going to be much lower. The next thing we want to do after knowing the rental yield as well as the ROI is we also want to understand the resale performance in this area. We are going to use the northern side of One North to give us a better perspective in terms of what is the overall health of the 2 bedrooms here. Are the 2 bedrooms that you are going to buy into going to perform healthily in terms of the prices or not? Over here we have quite a few projects, but just going to take very similar newer projects to give us a better perspective, because these 2 old projects, their sizes are much bigger, so very hard for us to do a very good comparison. So I'm just going to use these 3 projects to show you what have the transactions been like. First, let us look at One North Eden. It is a newly TOP project, 165 units, TOP in 2024, which is just last year. So the 2 bedrooms here mainly are the 2-bed, 2-bath dumbbell layout. They also do have a semi-enclosed kitchen, which is a tuck-in kitchen. So take a look at their prices. Their prices range from 1.615 million all the way up to 1.85, 1.84 and 1.8 million. So I believe these units are the sub-sale units. It's good for us to know because we also want to know what the resale transaction is actually performing like. Next one would be Hill at One North. Hill at One North is still currently selling, but their 2-bed, 2-bath is the first ones to be sold out. So it is also a relatively smaller project at 142 units, TOP in 2027 soon. Take note that here at One North, it doesn't have any 2-bed, 1-bath. The smallest 2 bedrooms are the 2-bed, 2-bath. Take a look at the prices over here. Transacted highest is about 1.868 all the way up to $2 million. Last one will be Blossoms by the Park, 275 units, 678 square feet. Again, for the past 3 projects that I've been sharing, there is no 2-bed, 1-bath in the entire vicinity. So 678 square feet, prices range from 1.49 million all the way up to 1.82 million. You can see that the transactions have all been done much higher than what today Bloomsbury is asking for lah. So with that, I'll show you my top choice verdict. The 2-bed, 2-bath dumbbell layout will be my top preference. Why do I say that? Is because firstly, in terms of layout, you can see that it has an enclosable kitchen, and also this layout is very well planned. There is no wasted space as compared to the traditional layout, which has an open kitchenette. In terms of numbers, it has similar, if not even higher rental as compared to the 2-bed, 1-bath. And then again, it has also a very wide price gap as compared to nearby surrounding projects. Because currently, the lowest price unit is at 1.572 million, and today the 2-bed, 2-bath in the surrounding projects have already gone as high as $1.8 million. There is actually a very strong price support of close to $200,000. That means what? It's not only about profits. It also means that today, those buyers in this area who have bought the 2-bed, 2-bath, they have already accepted that in this area, the prices are like that. For the 2-bed, 2-bath, there is also another strategy, and that is to go as low floor as possible, since the views are quite similar. There's no better views. They don't have any pool facing views for the 2-bed, 2-bath. But also, does that mean that the 2-bed, 1-bath cannot buy? No, because for those of you who are budget conscious, I would still highly recommend, as there is really no supply of the 2-bed, 1-bath in the current new launches in the One North area. Like the past 3 projects that I've shown you, for example, there are no 2-bed, 1-bath. So with starting price of 1.37 million, I feel that this is a good price to enter in, especially for those budget-friendly investors who are going to come in the One North area, because this can help you to fill up the gap. So the pricing of 1.37 million is already very well supported, with the resale projects, with the new launch projects already transacting much higher than what is expected lah. Next, the 3 bedrooms. So 3 bedrooms are categorized under 5 different layouts. First, you have the Type C 1904 square feet. They call it a 3+ study. But I honestly think that I don't think I can study here lah. So this is more like a study corner, which is why I plunked the next 2 floor plans, the 3+ study premium, Type C2 and C3 together. So If you can see over here in comparison, right, the C1 and C2 kitchen will be much brighter as compared to the type C3. Why? It's because the placement of the household shelter. Take a look at type C1. You see the wall over here, it is actually a thin wall. You can even knock down to be a glass wall over here, this as well. But for the type C3, straight away there is a household shelter here, meaning which this kitchen will be very dark. Next, we also have the type C4 and type C5. So type C5 has the flexibility to merge into a bigger living room because this wall is something that can be taken down, and the whole living space can be merged into a bigger space. Otherwise, it can also still be retained as a proper study. But take note, this study over here is the main difference between the type C4 to C5, but the price gap is actually $300,000 higher. Lastly, let us move on to the 4-bedroom. I got to agree that it has one of the best floor plans. I plunked these 3 floor plans together, D1, D2, D3. So the sizes range from 1173 square feet, 1206 square feet, to the biggest 4-bedroom, which is 1421 square feet. The main difference between these 3 is the last layout, which is D3 at 1421 square feet, has its own private lift. And it is the only 4-bedroom in this area that has the private lift. Really is very, very rare in this. When I was doing the analysis, I was a bit concerned as this area feels more like a business district for me. So I was asking myself, who will want to stay here? Because you can see that the starting price for the 4-bedroom, right, the biggest 4-bedroom is about 3.4 plus to 3.5 million. So of course I had to do some research, right? And here is where I was like a bit surprised because this is the first time that I saw a small project. This one is One North Eden, which is in the One North area as well. This is the first time I saw a small project at 165 units, right, perform even better than the big project. So last time, you know, all the videos that I talk about is about avoid small projects because they usually don't perform well due to the lack of volume. But you see the profits that they have for the 4-bedrooms. The 1259 square feet profited about 470 to about 498,000, whereas the biggest layout, the 1410 square feet, which is the biggest layout, they profited much more, crossing $700,000 just in 3 years. So in this sense, in the resale market, right, the biggest 4-bedroom still profited much more. So I looked into a floor plan. What is so special about this 1410 square feet layout, which resulted in so much more profits? Actually, the main difference is just the walk-in wardrobe over here. Walk-in wardrobe over here, additional space, but you have more than $200,000 more in terms of profit. Not only in terms of profit, in terms of ROI, even though the price paid is more, these owners still profit almost 20% more, even though they are paying $300,000 more in terms of purchase price. So this goes to show that there is still a demand for units with large size. Next one we look at is Normanton Park, which is the one that I also take reference from early on in this analysis. 1,862 units, mega development. By right, will have a lot of transactions. So by right, it should be able to help boost the profits, stitch up the prices much faster, even though both TOP around the same time. But nope, there are 4-bedrooms, even though there are more transactions, but their profits only range between $400,000 to highest $488,000. So after seeing this, my perspective really changed. Then I was thinking, what actually happened? I realized that layout and size plays a super big role in a big unit, especially in this area. You come back to these 2 floor plans again, right? Whether is it a small 4-bedroom or a big 4-bedroom, right? I think both are something that you can look at. Why? I scroll down later to compare with your neighbors. The first one we want to look at is Blossoms by the Park. Blossoms by the Park, this is a 4-bed. They have 2 different layouts. 1302 square feet, which is the smaller one, and then the second one is 1507 square feet. 1302 square feet. During the first day of launch, about 16 units out of 24 units sold out. Why I want to put the numbers, because most commonly, right, those highly sought after units, more or less during the first day, you will know this area, where is the demand at, where is the buyers in that area, especially looking out for in the unit mix. So for Blossoms by the Park, for example, the 4 bedrooms are the ones that actually got almost all sold out, even though the quantum is from 3 million all the way up to 3.25 million. 16 out of 24 units sold, and this is the layout that we want to understand why they got sold. Wide frontage living room. Everything you need in a good 4-bedroom layout. Then we go down to their next layout, which is the biggest 4-bedroom premium, 1507 square feet. This one is the opposite. Why? Because 18 units still available the last time I checked. You take a look at the floor plan, then you understand why is it that they actually don't perform very well. Entrance come in here, dining is here, living space is here, and the balcony is here. Balcony is not in front, balcony is here, and in front got a huge RC ledge. So the first layout a bit weird already. Then walking in, dry kitchen, wet kitchen, still not bad. Everything is nice. Just that the main one, the most important space, which is the living space, is not very nice as compared to this layout, the 1302 square feet. So understandably, the 1302 square feet actually sold most of the units during the first day of launch. As of today, all these units are all sold out already. So even if you want, also don't have. So that's why I want to share these two examples, because if you want to look at buying a 4-bedroom in this area, then layout is the most important. You need to focus on finding a unit that is very good in terms of the floor plans. So with that being said, my top choice units for the budget conscious one, the 1173 square feet layout, starting from 2.866 million. The 4 bedrooms, I think although it is not a wide frontage living room, but it has a very wide frontage dining area, so the whole entire space, it still gives you that space of openness, still gives you that space of that grand feeling. If not, then go for the type D3 layout. I believe this will be a highly sought after layout, because this is the only 4-bedroom that has a private lift. But I feel that this floor plan is very rare, and this will also be very attractive to the landed downgraders, which is in the surrounding right in the Wessex estate. Alright, this is the end of my project analysis series. So if you have not liked and subscribed to my channel, do remember to do so that you do not miss out on any future episodes. Don't forget to join my community on my Telegram channel. My contact number is here. If you require any analysis or any help in terms of shortlisting a good unit in Bloomsbury, do reach out to me. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next video.